Stephen, let me bring you in here. I mean, it's worth saying Scotland has had the lowest homicide rates for nearly 50 years, which is obviously a record I'm sure that you're proud of. It's also worth pointing out that last year there was a 12% increase in cases. The way it's defined by the police in Scotland is having an article with a blade or a point. So clearly that's something you need to be across and to be watchful for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we all need to be very conscious of this, because it doesn't take long to search on the internet or to see a news story about one of the horrific circumstances that we've all seen. And indeed, I spend quite a lot of time in London, and some of the images that I've seen, particularly in trains of recent times, has been quite terrifying. Can I perhaps make an observation? And I think it's been touched upon, but probably not in as much detail as it probably should have. We're talking a lot about how you respond to someone with a knife, or how you punish someone who does something bad, when in actual fact what we should probably be talking about is why this is happening in the first place. And it's because the fabric within society has been broken by 14 years of austerity, because of the fact that money has been stripped out of the public services that each and every one of you relies upon, because of the fact that our young people don't have the hope that they should have for their future. So they respond in a way which is filled with anger instead of optimism. And the only way to turn that around is to offer those young people that hope that they lack now. And I'm afraid that you don't do that in this election by continuing with what the IFS, Institute for Fiscal Studies, call a conspiracy of silence on public spending. Now, whether it's Yvette, who's in government, or Andrew, there's £18 billion worth of cuts baked in to the next Parliament that neither of these parties are talking about. That's going to make things worse for public services. It's going to make things worse for young people. And that is what nobody in this room wants to see happen.
But, Stephen, sorry, two Stephens here, making things a bit confusing. But you're also talking about deterrence, about what someone has, in terms of sanctions against people, not just in terms of cuts to public service.
Yeah, no, of course. And I've spoken at length there about why young people end up in this situation. There's an example in Glasgow of a very successful scheme which was put in place by the Scottish Government with communities, and what we've seen as a result of that was a dramatic drop in knife crime. Maybe that's an example that colleagues around this table would be willing to look at and share the good practice that was put in place.
Read my lips. No austerity under Labour.
Both Labour and Conservatives are saying that as the baseline for their plans, they involve significant cuts in a whole range of public services.